Welcome back, Edwin, to the second part of this podcast episode, which will be on prototyping. We have heard a bit already about it, and I'm now curious and very excited and a bit nervous to experience it myself. But I'm sure it's going to be great, and I'm sure that I'm going to be enthusiastic about it and that I want to go and try it out immediately. So welcome back, Edwin, and thanks for doing that with me, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Curious.
Yes, the last episode was theoretical, and you said I love experiencing, so that's what we are going to do now. So awesome.
I brought my kind of tennis wristbands, my sweat.
Yeah, and you want to experience it yourself, so we are going to do that now.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. I think I'm ready. Let me sip. Let me get a sip of water. All yours.
Cool. Okay. Before we start, I think it's very helpful to first give you an insight in the process, the whole process, and for the listeners as well. And then we're going to dive deeper in every step of the process. And the big advantage is that the process is pretty small. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned in the last episode, it's in a rhythm. So we are going to prototype in a rhythm. And the reason we are prototyping in a rhythm is because creating just one experiment doesn't make you agile. It doesn't make you experimental.
Yeah.
And we want to make a rhythm and to let a little bit of the pressure off your shoulders. Your first experiment won't be your best. And that's good, because you get better at it. You get better at finding the thing that's holding you back, and you get better at creating your best experiment.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that or saying that in advance. That feels good. So I feel a bit more relieved. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's open and prepared to dive into that.
Yeah. It's a learning process, and that's also why we are doing that every 2 or 3 weeks, or whatever pace that's working for you. Mm-hmm. If it's personal, maybe you want to do it a little bit faster. If it's a team process, because we're prototyping work, we are doing this kind of advising also in teams or in organizations, and most of them are in a rhythm of 3 weeks to a month.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Depending on the speed of decision making within teams. Or the agile flow they have.
Yeah. So you adjust the concept to the schedule and kind of the rhythm of the company, but it's adjusted in between a month.
Yeah, 2 weeks to a month. Yeah. If you are very fast and you want to experiment every 2 weeks, that's up to you. Mm-hmm. But it also there is some work to be done. Yeah. And if you are able to do that in 2 weeks, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If not, don't pressure yourself too much and give yourself 3 weeks or a month.
It's actually the same in coaching processes. So we also have, it's important to what you practice here in a safe space to be able to practice it outside in your world. And therefore and the time goes by so quickly. So I also suggest some time in between to practice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and one important thing up front is we need pen and paper. So do you have a pen and paper?
Yes.
Awesome. Because that's where you are going to write down your experiment.
Kind of loose paper. I have kind of a notebook. I have Post-its, or I can get blank paper.
Whatever you like, as long as you write down what I'm going to help you with. We on our website, you can share the link in the podcast notes. But on our website, we have a canvas. We developed a canvas that helps you create a really tangible prototype.
Okay,
so that's awesome.
I will link it in the show notes.
Yeah. So back to the process. It's a rhythm, and we do one loop of that rhythm for today, and that loop has 3 steps. And step 1 is follow the tension. And attention is that undesirable feeling that something is holding you back, but you're not sure what. And that's something is holding you back from being the best version of yourself. That is what we are going to look for, and having that, and the more detailed you have that information, the better. Once we have that, we are able to create an experiment on that, and that's what we call our prototyping phase. So we are going to brainstorm for ideas. We are going to create a prototype or an experiment, and as soon as possible, we are going to start validating or executing that prototype. And yeah, you are going to do that as well. You are going to do that as well.
That's a merch idea, Edwin. Like prototype work sweatbands. Like
yeah, nice. It's a good idea.
That. Ready for a workout.
Yeah.
The loop. Okay, sorry. Back to concept.
And so that's why we need time, so to say 2 or 3 weeks between 2 sessions, because you are going to execute that experiment, and that you need that time to validate. And the last step is learn and adapt, and you're going to reflect on the results. You're going to reflect on the experiments you did. And for now, we are going to create one. But what you can do is create multiple next to each other, or when you are in a team, you have multiple experiments together, and you can reflect on that, but also reflect on the process of creating that experiment, and what did it for you yourself, and what do you want to adapt for the next iteration, for the next loop. So
when you do that in a team, it's also that the team, you share your tension with your team, and they can also give feedback on your tension and help you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in a team process, there are 2 ways you can start by creating or by noticing individual tensions or team tensions.
Yeah. Okay.
So some examples of team tensions are we are very bad at decision making, or
our meeting.
It doesn't feel safe to tell my opinion or tell new ideas. It doesn't, or I really don't know each other, or those kind of things that are impacting the whole team. And individual things, it could be I want to be more productive, or me personally doesn't feel safe if it's only affecting yourself and not the rest of the team. So those are individual tensions. And we can create experiments based on those tensions. And after 3 weeks, when we are in the reflection phase, you look back at those prototypes and what their impact was on the tension you had 3 weeks ago. Is it resolved? Do you still have that tension? And if you still have that tension, you can create a new prototype for the next for the coming 3 weeks, so to say. Or you create, or you adapt your current prototype and do it another 3 weeks. That's also possible. So there are different routes based on your result, based on your reflection after 3 weeks.
I just had an idea. As we are recording now, the 2 sessions right after each other, but I might release the one next week and then the other one in 3 weeks, the practical one, part 2. And then I can shed light at the end of the podcast after 3 weeks what impact on my
that's awesome
was, right? Okay, so I have an outer kind of force and interest to do that. I'm outing myself now so that I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
all right. Yeah, that sounds good. And it's yeah, then you really have you created your own pressure now.
Yes. Okay.
That's good. Okay, looking forward to your reflection afterwards as well. Yeah. So that's the process. 3 steps, and we start with step 1. That's the tension. So, we are doing a very short version of that. So I already ask you up front, what could be your tension. You had some time to think about it. So maybe you can share with me what your tension would be.
Yeah, so a year ago, I learned from a book by Barbara Scher that I am a scanner personality type. And this scanner personality, which I completely am, I completely saw myself into the description of the scanner personality type, is someone that wants to do everything, and for example also wants to learn many different things, has many different hobbies, wants to try out things on parallel, also have different careers. And that's me. And you also said when I told you, you also identified a bit with it, right?
Yeah. That's totally me as well. And that was I did so many different things in my career, and it really, I think I really love to be a scanner personality, even though I didn't read the book, but I am going to. But it also held me back a lot of times in my career, because it's so hard to focus on one thing. It's so hard to keep your head to that one goal, because you have 15 goals.
Yeah.
And especially the new things are so interesting.
Yes. And that would be my tension. That it's a lot of times very hard for me to focus and to structure. And I'm self-employed for 1.5 years now. And I have so many different projects, a podcast project, I'm a systemic coach, I do HR, I do recruiting, I do teaching at university, then I do volunteer projects, and I don't know what else. So like I'm interested in many different things, and I like to engage with new people and learn stuff, but it's sometimes just too much and overwhelming. So that would be my tension in my daily life. But taking into account that I'm a scanner personality, because I have loads of those growth hack, I don't know what's it called, like deep work book, routine, habits, and that's what I work on with my coaches. But I realized routines help in a way, but I'm also getting bored quickly, and I always need this new boom, boom, and this boom. For some people, this boom is enough, but for me, this boom needs to be, even more boomy. Yeah. And so that's kind of the challenge. Is that a tension we could work with?
That is a tension we can work with, but if you are going to work with the tension you are describing now, it's a pretty broad tension and pretty complex, and that's a good thing, and it would help us, and it would help you to be more specific on one topic, because the first sentence I was noting, writing down your tension. I was trying to create that one sentence for you, but you're doing so many different things on high level, coaching, HR, recruitment, teaching, and your first sentence was it's a lot of in a lot of times it's very hard for me to focus and to structure, and maybe we can choose one of those two, because they are if you want to create solutions for your tension, creating a solution for both focusing and structuring does make your solution again too big already.
I get it. Yeah.
So we are going to create small steps, and every 3 weeks we are going to create new small steps with big impact. So we better choose a smaller tension, which we are going to fix in the next couple of loops we are going to do. And then you never have to say, it's very hard for me to focus or to structure, because you have done a couple of experiments and you have fixed that. And then there is a lot of new things in your tension. You still have the other things, but that's that big monster with all those arms and legs, and we are going to cut one arm. Yeah. From that monster, we're going to destroy the monster, and we start by doing it as small as possible.
Okay.
You probably have seen I just remembered that image of the big elephant, and that was all those small
that was cut into slices. No.
It cut into slices, and everyone was seeing just this one slice. But you are describing now the whole elephant. That's great. But now we have to focus on one small thing.
I'm good in doing that. I'm good in seeing whole things, which then prevent me from holding me back from even starting. You know.
Yeah, that's what we what we see in teams as well. Making it so hard, making it so big and complex that you get frozen to start.
Yes.
And that's what we want to fight. We want to start small and start from there. And that's the Kickstarter. In an engine, you have that Kickstarter.
Yes.
To get the change rolling. And
that reminds me to pick up my scooter, because the Kickstarter didn't went because the battery was gone and broken. So I got a new battery and I'm ready to kickstart again.
Nice. Yeah. So that's what we need to do with prototyping as well. And it's in complex challenges, you want to sense and adapt. So you want to sense what is holding you back the most. So you have to pick. I would say from that sentence, it's very hard for me to focus and to structure. Pick one of the two, and let's describe that again and as concrete as possible. So that helps us.
I have a feeling that I had another idea. So I love this sentence: where your focus goes, or where your focus lies, your energy goes. It's also what I work in coaching. You look on the negative things a lot, but when you look at the positive things. And what was troubling me was actually this podcast project, because it's so much work. And my wish was, or my idea was, to travel to different countries and to learn about new ways of working there, and to be there, to do vacations there, as I did in the Netherlands, which is not going to happen now. So I was like, how do I continue with the podcast project? And I would like to focus that for the next 3 weeks. Is that a tension? So focus the next steps of the podcast, because I was kind of postponing it on making a decision how to continue with it, because of different reasons. So I would choose focus, and I would choose the topic of the podcast. Is this precisely enough?
Yeah, it really is. And you didn't only choose focus over structure, you also choose one thing over all the projects you have. So that's already, you did very good. Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, and I want to help you with rephrasing the tension.
Okay.
So I want you to, what are you noticing about this project? So what is holding you back? And try to rephrase it in a sense of, what is noticing and what does that do for you? What does that, what is holding you back? What's your feeling about that? Can you give it a try?
Yeah, I see if I understood it correctly. So what is holding me back to continue or decide on how to continue with the podcast?
Yeah.
I think my inner perfectionist. The time that the project needs, so all the cutting and layout and marketing and so besides the things I do for a living, and deciding on what to focus next. Maybe just making a decision, and then just deciding.
And deciding on what?
On a topic, on kind of a new topic or a new season, whether it's I continue Trust Your Muse, the podcast on new ways of working, and explore new ways of working in another city, country compared to Germany, and learn. And find pioneers organization, or leaders Or would have been another idea to that was the other idea on remote working. Find people who not only worked before COVID differently, but started working differently based on the pandemic, which is also new ways of working that are coming up now. Not only going in a bully, but that would be like in a VW bus somewhere in Greece or something, but maybe completely different new ways of working people decided to do and research them.
Yeah.
So that was my two ideas, but maybe there's a third one I'm not aware of.
Yeah, but that's great, and we can create that because you are already in the prototype phase now. So I'll get you back to the tension. It helps get a little bit better understanding of your tension, and normally we dive a bit deeper into the tension. Okay, why is it a tension? Who is affected by the tension? When does it occur? All those kind of questions.
So we have half an hour now or something. But so it's very usual. But how is it done? What's the time frame for that in your workshops on an individual level?
Yeah, for the tension, we have a canvas created for that as well. In about 20 minutes, you can get a lot of information for yourself.
Okay, cool.
That's called, in design thinking, it's called rapid research. Getting a lot of information as soon as possible, and then reframing your tension, and that is going to be your starting point for designing a prototype. So I'm just going to ask you one thing. If you would phrase your tension in one sentence, what would the sentence be? It's annoying that I ask those questions, right?
Yeah, super annoying. My perfectionist is holding me back of making a decision on how to continue the podcast project, Trust Your Muse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is the most relevant topic for the listeners as well, because they want to know how your podcast is going to continue. So in 3 weeks you have your announcement as well.
Oh because my God. Yeah. It's good to do that. Thank you. It's really good. It's really, I wouldn't have thought of the podcast before, but it just came up spontaneously.
It does help make it this detailed, and by forcing you to create one sentence, does help you create a smaller challenge. And this is your challenge we are going to work on in the next step of the process.
Okay.
Finding our prototype.
So we are now going to step 2, to the next phase.
Yeah. So we finished our tension, and your tension is, I wrote it down. My perfectionism is holding me back on making a decision on how to continue my podcast project. Awesome. So we are now focusing on creating your prototype, and a prototype is, we want to. You said it yourself. You want to reflect in 3 weeks' time. So we are going to create a prototype that you can realize in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So that has to be a small prototype because you're a busy woman. But you want to make a prototype that has impact. Otherwise, you are not able to reflect in 3 weeks whether it did help or not.
Yeah.
So in Aaron Dignan from The Ready, maybe you know him, but he once said, you want to create a radical experiment on a non-radical scale.
Okay.
And you already created the non-radical scale because you're just focusing on the podcast project. So that's already helping us focus on that project. But we want to create a radical experiment.
Okay.
And before we are going to dive into designing that experiment, we need to brainstorm, because normally if you have this attention, 9 out of 10 people already have a solution in mind. But that doesn't necessarily is the best solution. That's just the anchoring bias. That's from positive psychology. That's the anchoring bias that you already think, okay, this is a solution. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And brainstorming.
Else, yeah.
normally in group settings, brainstorming does help create quantity, and we can pick the quality out of that quantity and designing that specific, the best idea for an experiment.
Yeah, love that. Okay.
There is. But we are not with a team. We are with a team. We are with the two of us.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And this is from a brainstorming exercise that's called Crazy 8. And we are going to do a smaller version that's called Crazy 5. Okay. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. And normally we take 5 minutes time for those questions. But now, once you have your answer, we go to the next question. Yeah. So the time pressure is on you.
Yes.
And I will focus that we are going to do that within 5 minutes. Otherwise, this podcast is going to take very, very long. Okay, so we are in the phase of brainstorming for solutions, and the more tangible your answer to my questions are, the better. That makes creating that prototype a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 questions, and question number 1 is: what is your first solution, the first idea for an experiment that you have in mind?
Start to research. No, make a decision.
Make a decision. To make a decision. Yeah, I'm writing it down so that we can. We have to choose.
How to.
Your next slide. Yeah. So I have your first idea is to start to research and make a decision. Idea number 2 is think of an even better idea.
An even better idea would be to travel to maybe Portugal or Denmark or where did I want to go on my list? Yeah, that would, either of those, like travel to, that would be the best idea. Which, okay.
Within 3 weeks, awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I got it wrong. No, yeah. Even better idea.
We can work with this one because we can create an experiment that is smaller, that works towards this idea. So that we can do that. Question number 3 is: what's your worst idea possible? So how can you make the tension even bigger? What's your worst idea possible?
Not deciding and stopping the podcast project. Oh no, it's so sad.
I love this one, because asking this question to teams, there's always someone who's saying, yeah, let's stay it this way. And you not deciding is kind of staying this way. And if that's the worst thing you can do for this, then the current situation isn't that good.
True.
Okay, question number 4 is: if you don't have any time limits or no constraints, so no money, time, no pandemic, what would your best idea be at this moment?
Yeah, to pack my backpack and to travel to Portugal, I think, first, and to start interviewing people within the next. So I would go within a week, then I would have the interviews in the next 2 weeks, and then I have in 3 weeks I could do that. That would be the best. So to meet with people to work with them, maybe to do like a little internships there as well. That would be cool. I would have loved to done that in the Netherlands too. Yeah, I talked about it, but as I told you, I like to experience things too. Yeah, that would be kind of my ideal scenario.
Oh, awesome. Okay, and my last question, and then we are going to choose from one of those 5, is if you have an inspiring person, or how would he or she have this solution, create a solution? Have someone in mind who inspires you, that would have a solution that crushes your attention.
Yeah. This person would kind of free her or himself from any constraints and from the burden of, is it good enough what you do? And would focus on the joy and the energy of the project and what it got, to focus on what he or she would get out of it, and on the joy of meeting people and learning and exploring and broadening and sharing energy and learn together and love together. And that would be the person there. Yeah.
Wow. That's a beautiful one.
It is.
Awesome. Okay, so we now have 5 ideas, and we can go on for hours creating ideas, but we have to stop somewhere. 5 ideas. Number 1 was start to research and make a decision. Number 2 was travel to maybe Portugal or Denmark. 3, deciding and stopping. That's not what you're going to do. 4 is pack your backpack and travel to Portugal. And 5 was free yourself from any constraints and burden if it's good enough what you do, and focus on the joy of energy of the project by meeting people and learning. What experiment or prototype do you want to execute for the next 3 weeks? And we are going to design in the coming 10 minutes.
I think the last one, because I can do that within 3 weeks. And I can still meet people also online, it's yeah. I think that one. If you say that's doable from.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, first I need to decide. So the first one is, but that's something I do at once. So can I do a combination of 1 and 2? So first 1 and then 5?
Yeah, that's possible, but doing that within 3 weeks.
I want everything.
Yeah, I can imagine. But this question is what we get a lot. And the thing is, it doesn't mean you don't have to be completely finished with your tension in 3 weeks. Mm. So if you want to start with number 1 and then number 5, then my advice would be create an experiment on number 1 for the first 3 weeks, but make it that good that you can start with number 5 for the next 3 weeks.
I got the point. Okay.
But if you want to go faster to number 5, my advice would be just create that experience for yourself and go with the number 5. I would say pick one of the 2.
Okay, wait. But it's in the terms of more doable, right? I mean, those are completely different. So I could make a decision and research in 3 weeks, and it's quite doable. And the other one is on another level of decision making. It's a more deep. So let's go for the first one.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
And a bit more tangible, I would say, more realistic for 3 weeks time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the advice, for explaining. It's good.
Okay. So to reflect, your tension is my perfectionism is holding me back on making a decision on how to continue the project, the podcast project. And your solution we are going to design a prototype for is start research and make a decision. Awesome. As I mentioned before, we have a canvas helping you creating your prototype, and I'm having that on my screen here. And it's a canvas just like the business model canvas.
Yeah.
It's a lot of squares with assignments for you to write down, and in the end you have an overview of what you are going to do. And most important thing is you also write down when is it a success. So when you are reflecting in 3 weeks time, you have a look at, okay, is it a success as I wrote down 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Okay.
But before we do that, we have to. Wait, I have an idea. I will use the canvas with you. Oh, what I can do is share my screen for the YouTube.
Yeah, cool.
We're going to work on the canvas together.
I give you the
permissions.
The permission to. Okay.
Yes, share my screen. This is awesome. Live prototyping in a podcast. Never done that before. So you should see the canvas here. And what we already did is deciding on the tension.
Yeah.
In the first square, and in number 2 we decide on what prototype we are going to work on. So what we are going to do now is make it more tangible. What are the steps we need to do to finish this prototype?
Mm-hmm.
So that's question number 3. What are your actions?
So first of all, I will have to make a decision, a concrete decision on a topic, on kind of a topic for season 2 or a theme for season 2.
Yeah, and are you able to do that without research, or is this your first?
Good one. I think the research, it would make the step easier, this step easier if I do research first. You're right. Thank you.
And how would that research look like? Is that research on the possible scenarios, possible teams, or?
The research would look like chaotic research. I have a list of people I like. I have a list of articles I saved from people working remotely, working in different countries, from companies I'd like to learn from. So it's kind of a mixture. So I think I would first look at that and then collect a bit and see where is my energy, how does it feel? So also check in with my feelings.
Nice.
While I'm researching. And then make a decision.
Sounds good.
And then also announce it here in this kind of, in the, I don't know the English word, in the Abspann. After this session, I would then reveal or do an extra session maybe, or I will do an extra session. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll already place that in another square for later on. Okay, so the steps you are going to do in the next couple of weeks is you're going to research and create a list of people, articles, companies, topics that interest you. You check in with your feeling while you're researching, and based on your feeling, and I think also the quote you were saying when we were brainstorming, and that was called, how did I write
energy
it down? Yeah,
where the energy
and your focus lies where your energy goes,
or the other way around.
The other way around, yeah. I would say the other way around, yeah. So okay, and then announce it. Okay, awesome. Then we're going to step 4. Mm-hmm. What do you need to start tomorrow, or start today? Are there any constraints? Do you need anything? Do you need help? If there is none, then it is great. Then we go to step.
No, I can do it myself to start today or tomorrow.
Yeah. An additional idea could be you could ask your network or LinkedIn or whatever to give you even more inspiration on topics or people or companies to talk with.
That would be a good one. Yes, I did that before I went to the Netherlands. That's a good one. I will do that. Yeah.
That's a great input for your research as well.
Yeah.
broaden your network as well. Ask my network for inspiration. Great way to start, and does help you, give you some energy as well, because you get help from people around you. That always gives you more energy.
Yeah. It always helps when someone is writing what he or she took out of the episode and what he or she learned. This is always because it gives you, it's so nice to get this feedback, you know. I mean, I enjoyed it to talk to each of them, but the idea was to spread that, and yeah, so thanks, that's a good one.
Awesome, sounds good. Okay, we are going to skip number 5 and 6. These are more in for team collaboration. Okay. If you have multiple prototypes next to each other, number 5 is what score would you give it? If you have multiple prototypes next to each other, you can choose based on those data, so to say. And question number 6 is, what is your contribution to your attention? And I would say, if you have your decision and you know what to do next, and you completely fixed your attention for this specific one, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, in this question, you also could ask yourself, how does it help me in my purpose in life, so to say, or how does it help me? You could even give it to your higher topic. You gave your context for this tension with the scanner personality. How does it help you control your scanner or empower your scanner personality?
Rather empower it.
Yeah, exactly. So those questions you can answer in question number 6.
Thank you.
But for now, I would like to ask you, when would it be a success? So in 3 weeks' time, you are going to reflect on your prototype. When are you going to cheer and scream, yeah, this was great?
So I'm going to cheer that I solved my tension if I have a clear picture of my podcast, Trust Your Muse, and I have a clear idea of how to continue. I have a clear topic and I made a decision, and I already have identified, let's say, 5 people I'd like to talk to.
At least 5 people I'd like to talk to. Awesome. Great one.
Will you share that with me, please?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to share this with you.
That
of course.
Is awesome. That's really cool. It already feels good. It already feels really.
Yeah, by creating this prototype, by creating this, normally it's, if it's offline, you have this A3 big piece of paper where you're writing down and designing your prototype.
Cool. So you do it really big paper and really. Okay.
Yeah, now it's digital, so I use a digital whiteboard called Miro.
Yeah.
And that also helps, but this makes it tangible and really visible what you are going to do. And so especially
people can do that at home in a wall or at a wall, right, for themselves. Then feel it a bit more. Okay.
Yeah, and especially question number 7 helps you to define upfront when is it a success.
Yeah, kind of the getting things done approach.
Yeah. Or like Stephen Covey said, think with the end in mind. Yeah. What's the end? When is the success? Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I did that with small weeks. So thank you. So what, formulate things this week. I have cleaned up my my apartment or something, or my department is cleaned. My is done. Yeah, that helps. So I'm really fascinated by how simple it is and how impactful it already is and feels after, I think we started like half an hour ago, right?
Yeah.
So and pretty amazing.
You can imagine it's too early for that, but normally when you reflect on your actions, that's really powerful. And based on your reflection, maybe, and you don't, to help you upfront, don't blame yourself what results it will be. If you didn't decide yet, you still did take some steps, or you did not at all. and you can learn from that. Why didn't you take your steps?
Is it something else that is holding you back, maybe?
Exactly, and maybe that is your tension.
Yeah,
that's what I said up front.
Yeah,
Don't be too harsh on yourself on your first experiment, because it does sound very simple. That's why we designed this process this simple.
Yes.
But it can be very hard to come up with the best tension and to come up with your best experiment. You have to do that a couple of times, and that helps you be a very good prototyper.
Yeah, cool. And I assume the results you create for organizations, teams, and individual is, I mean, for you personally, really fulfilling, and to be in that process, which I like as well. So you continuously see what's changing over a period of time. I think that's very rewarding, right? And I'm very intrigued. I really like it. It's a super idea, and I bet it's fun with you to do the workshop. I think you facilitated very great. You helped me a lot when I was. That's a good coach. So I feel it's good to be on the other side, because it's super hard. It's also about the goal setting process, which was here the tension setting process, and it's super hard. You know, to formulate what we want instead of what we don't want, and to have this tension. And you helped me a lot. Thank you for also your input.
You're welcome.
And it's fun. I feel also that you mentioned that I should not be too hard on myself, and you explained what's behind the process, maybe, or what's behind it, and to have a look at that, and to be open and enthusiastic about experimenting. I really like that. I feel good. I feel really good.
Awesome.
And I want a prototyping sweatband.
Yeah, we will think about that with all our goodies.
Yeah, thank you. How was it for you?
Thank you for being so open and honest here in the podcast.
Yeah. I'm curious about the feedback, and if people will reach out and want to experience this sequence a bit longer. I also saw you offer this now for individuals, teams, and organizations, right?
Yeah, and we do also have a taster. So like we did here in the podcast, but then with your team or with a couple of colleagues, you can do a taster online, and we are going to create that first prototype for your team. And that's awesome. In a 2-hour session, a lot of energy.
Okay, so this, I think we did it really time box, but some things are good to be time box. But I think 2 hours would also feel, for a taster session, would feel pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much for giving me a taste of the prototyping and how you work. And if you like, I also channel back what I did in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of what would you like to? What is something that you've learned recently that you would like to share, or that inspired you? Because you are also someone that is looking for inspiration, and maybe you have something. I shared with you the scanner or the multi-potentialist personality type, which I will share, which I think will inspire you, and that inspired me a lot. Is there something that inspired you as someone knowing so much on new ways of working and future work? Or is there any shifts you see, or anything you'd like to? Okay, now I'm blabbering, so stop doing it. Any last words from you, Edwin? To close this fast.
There is so much going. There's so much going on, and there's so much inspiration in the world, and we've gathered a lot of cases on our website as well, of organizations, but also really tangible experiments you can do within your team or within your organizations. But what I keep repeating to a lot of teams, leaders, and organizations is don't just copy, nor from our inspiration, nor from any other inspiration. Make it your own by experiment. And there was a month ago I saw this online company, I think that helps, called Gumroad. Maybe they are a company for creators, for digital creators, and they have this really progressive way of working. And they wrote a blog post about it. I can share you that link. That's pretty interesting to see. And there was a lot of feedback on how they work. That will never work in other organizations. No, that's right, because inspirations like Spotify or Google or Netflix, also an inspirational company on the way we work, just copying that to other organizations doesn't work. Yeah. And I heard a story I repeat to teams a lot of times. It's like if you want to play chess and you want to be the best in chess, by just copying Grandmaster Kasparov exactly in one match all his steps. If you're going to chess against me, you are not going to win, because you are not Kasparov. You cannot look in his head, and I do differently than his opponent.
Yeah.
So by just copying everything from a case study or everything from Kasparov doesn't make you Kasparov.
Yeah.
So don't be like Gumroad, don't be like Netflix or Spotify. Be yourself and experience what is working for you and what not.
Yeah, and I think that is why I chose the name Trust Your Muse. It's about listening to this inner voice, to this inner inspiration, and to feel it, and that's it. Oh, super closing words. It was a hell lot of fun. Like, what is it?
A lot of fun.
It was lekker. Do you say that in Dutch?
Yeah, it was lekker. Yeah.
It was lekker. And so I really enjoyed. Thanks for the time and for sharing so many great insights and for doing the practical session with me. And I hope, you will inspire a lot of people out there, which you do. I don't hope you do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. And also thanks for this experiment, because this was my first process in a podcast live. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it worked fine. Worked really well.
Yeah, me too. So next episode is going to follow.
It will. So awesome. I thank you.